Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging podcast discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Joe Caccera, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate. He also offers real estate tax management strategies, new construction advice, home improvement tips, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host and Real Estate Radio Live team leader, Joe Caccera.
Welcome in. This is Joe Caccera with the Real Estate Radio Live, the podcast series. Just a reminder before we get started, if you need any help on the way of financing for a purchase, refinancing, I'm here to help you with that. You could reach me a couple different ways. One is my direct phone line, 408-838-9060. Or you go to the website, reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com if you have any questions about that. As we continue through the week, and today is Thursday, we have tomorrow we're coming, Bobby and Buddy and I will be talking about mansions, so be sure to tune in for tomorrow's podcast. Today's topic is going to be what will really the future of real estate transactions. What will that look like? What real changes are coming in real estate and mortgage financing? So over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be looking at kind of the future of real estate. Some of you listening to this might say, well, there is no future in terms of technology and real estate. There's some subtle things that are taking place that are changing. I know it doesn't seem like there really is, but we're going to dig into that a little bit and, kind of do a deep dive with some of this data, information, and statistics to support what's going on. What is the real future of real estate, the real estate transaction itself? And when I say the real estate transaction, buying and selling a home, financing a home, title and escrow, all the things right here in Northern California that we deal with in terms of a real estate transaction. So I'm going to run through some statistics, talk a little bit about that today. Again, the topic, the future of real estate transactions, what will it look like in the future, and what kind of real changes are coming in not only real estate but financing as well. So the one thing that I think most people already know, but if you don't, let's kind of cover some of the statistics that we do know and maybe pretty obvious. 90+%, about 92% roughly of people start their search online when it comes to looking for a home or trying to figure out real estate, looking if they want to buy, some even selling, mostly on the buy side. But in general, 90+% people start their search online. Now think about that. Just 10 or 15 years ago, the numbers were staggering, as far as as small as they were, and they keep growing now. And literally, here we go, 9 out of 10 people start any kind of a real estate search online. What's that tell us? That tells us that people are more comfortable navigating online. They're more used to it. It comes natural. It's a way of life, and it's only going to get it's really only going to get better in terms of people gathering in data and information on their own. Really what it's done is it's caused people, for the most part, the majority of people to really be more proactive about what they're looking for. Before, if you wanted to know, what homes are available, you had to go directly to a real estate agent. If you wanted to see what homes were listed, you had to go to talk to a real estate agent. A lot of this stuff was buried, and a lot of the data was kind of proprietary, if you will, and now it's available to everybody. It's Zillow and a lot of these sites. It is all over the place. So what does that mean in terms of the real estate transaction? So what it means initially is there are a lot more information available to people at their fingertips, and that makes people wiser, more educated consumers. Now, we're big advocates of that here at Real Estate Radio Live because that's what we do. We educate people, we inform people, and that's good. You want people to be more educated, and you want them to be really informed about really important decisions like they make on a real estate transaction. So here's the twist to this that we're going to get into that's real interesting, and it doesn't surprise me. Out of the 90+% people that start their search online and really start data collecting and data gathering online, guess how many people end up still choosing a realtor to help them with the transaction? over 80%, nearly 86 to 87% of people still choose a realtor. And this doesn't surprise me, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it. The reason why this is a lot of talk about, people online selling the home by themselves, discounted brokers. We're going to get a little bit of that. I'm going to break this down a little bit for you, and I am hoping to help you understand a little bit better about the dynamics of the approach to real estate and the transactions now and what might be changing. So we go online, we start our search, we look, but we still trust the professional agent to help us. Some people are misled, and they're saying, well, there's a huge percentage of people that are doing for sale by owners, and we'll debunk that myth. I'll talk a little bit about those numbers. But again, 86 to 87% of people still trust a professional real estate agent to help them represent on a buy or sell of their home. So what does that tell you? What that tells me, and what that should tell you, the consumer, is that people still trust the expertise of professionals to help them navigate through that transaction. What it also tells us, and it should tell us, is that people, for the most part, don't want to sell their home on their own, don't want to go out and do the work on their own. There's a lot involved in it. For the people that talk about the for sale by owners, they're referred to as FSBOs. You might hear those. The latest percentage is somewhere between 7 and 8, maybe 9%. About 8% of were accounted for home sales in 2015. Some of the statistics are going to be between 8 and 9, and not more than 10%. So again, somewhere between 8 and 10% of the home sale transactions were done by for sale by owner. 6 or 7 years ago was 2 or 3%. Is it growing? Yeah, it's growing a little bit, but I think it really depends. Percentage-wise, you could see what's happening. Yeah, there's some people that are dipping their toe in the water, trying this on their own a little bit. But I would think that the majority of people that do this probably regret it to some extent, because they don't realize how much work there is that goes into these transactions. So we know that people, as a rule, still want a professional agent. They want their expertise. They want what they have to offer. They want area experts. People want that for the most part. They still want that. Some of the things that are changing is the commission structure. What about the fees? The recent surveys say that about 62% of people think that they should be able to get some kind of negotiated or less fees for selling their home, or a transaction, or reducing some kind of fee structure with the real estate community in a transaction. That's 62% roughly. I mean, that's a majority. That would be considered a majority. So you have 62% of people roughly say that they expect to get some kind of reduced fees in a commission structure when they're doing a real estate transaction. So what does that mean, reduced fees? Well, the average, again, a lot of the average commission structures when you're selling, a real estate agent is representing a sale, it's about 6%. Now in markets like this, you're probably looking at 5 or 5.5% in some cases, maybe a little bit less. You could, it's hard to get some of the statistics and knowing exactly what the fees structure is when someone's selling a home for $15, $20 million. Do they really still play 5 or 6%? I would doubt it. Most of the time they might. Sometimes it's hard to say. So these are the things that are changing the dynamics a little bit and what's under pressure. The fee structure is changing a little bit, but what people are telling you, what consumers are telling us in these statistics and data is that, A, we're smarter. We think we have more information. B, we still want a trusted advisor. We still want a really good real estate agent to represent us on a sell and a buy because we need that expertise. They're also telling us, C, that we want a reasonable price. We want the expertise, but we want a reasonable price. We want to be able to negotiate that price a little bit. So those are the statistics. That's the data that is coming to us and that we're finding out in terms of the real estate transaction. Now, let's talk a little bit how the financing goes along with that. How is that changing? is the financing. People are going online just like on a home sale, just like representing, just like looking in the real estate agent. 90+% of people start their search with the mortgage online. The reason they do that is they try to get an idea what the market interest rates are like, what the going rate is. They go to a number of different sites and they look at the statistics and data and see what those are going for. It's a little more tricky on the mortgage side only because there is a lot more that goes into financing and getting approved for financing for a loan, let's say for $500,000, just say for conversation, than there is as simple as is selling a home. In other words, it's a simpler statement, and you could be safe to say, I'll sell your home for $1 million, and I'll tell you what, I'll sell that for you for 5% instead of 6%. If an agent says, I'll do that for 5%, it's pretty clean cut in terms of it's 5%, whatever it sells for, that's the commission they make. Now, if someone's applying for a loan, you have to be careful. You can't automatically quote them a rate and costs and fees because you don't know their credit. You don't know what their history's like. You don't know what kind of debt they have. You don't know what kind of income they have. You don't know what kind of assets they have. There's a lot of this stuff that goes into the lending side that you don't know until you pull someone's credit and you're looking at assets and income and the total profile. But there is a lot of this is changing still. The lending business is changing online, and we're going to talk a little bit more about how that looks like in the future as well. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue talking about the future of real estate transactions. What do I mean by that is what is it going to look like, and when are these changes going to come and take place? So what is it going to look like when real estate, the transaction changes, including mortgage? I'll be back in just a couple minutes to continue the conversation.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
Hi, this is Joe Kuchera, host of Real Estate Radio Live and Bay Area Mortgage Planner. In addition to being your home financing expert, please remember you could always contact me for other trusted advisors such as realtors, financial planners, and CPAs. Please feel free to contact me at 408-838-9060. That's 408-838-9060, or email joe at RERadiolive.com, or visit my website at RERadiolive.com for more details.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's topic or guests, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for today's edition of Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. This is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live, the podcast series. As we continue today's show, the topic is the future of real estate transactions. What will this look like, and when will it change? How will technology change the real estate transaction, including mortgages? First part of the podcast here, I talked a little bit about some of the statistics. Real quickly, we'll go through those. Number one, everybody, just about everybody, 92, 93%, 9 out of 10 plus start their search and their information gathering online. I think most of us know that now. The second thing is, what we do know is 86 to 87% of people, even when they go online and start their search and their data gathering, they still ultimately end up using a professional real estate agent to represent them on the buy or sell of their home. The reason why is that they still trust that expertise. They want that person to represent. There's a lot of value there. So we know that consumers still value that. Third, there's about 62% of people expect to be able to negotiate the fees. What they're saying is the traditional fees, interns in general, maybe are changing. So there's some structure changes there. What we are seeing is that, again, the majority of people think there should be some negotiation in the fee structure and the costs and fees associated with the real estate. Started talking a little bit about the mortgage side of this. So when people go to purchase a home, even sell their home, typically when you sell your home, you're going to buy another home. Most of the time, not all the time. And most of the time, you do this and you get a loan. Again, sometimes you could sell your home, pay cash for a home. That happens too. But if you don't, if you need financing, 70-80% of people normally need some kind of financing when they sell their home and go buy another one. Financing is moving more and more. Opportunities are online. So here's what's happening in the financing side. Same statistics apply. 90+% of people kind of start their search and information gathering online. They want to find out what the rates are, what's going on, what's the market hold, those types of things. However, still, statistics are showing us that upwards of 70+, almost 80% of the people will end up getting a referral from a friend or family member or someone that they've done business in the past, someone that they're comfortable helping them on the financing side, because they still feel like it's a big enough transaction where they do need that assistance and expertise. What we're finding is still a small percentage of people are willing to take the risk to pick up the phone or go online and start the transaction with someone they don't know or someone in another city or state, because that does happen. If you call some of these online lenders, Lending Tree and this, and there's thousands of them, you don't know who you're getting. Matter of fact, a lot of it's a lead generation. So you could go to a Lending Tree website and you could call an 800 number and you could get someone in Chicago or Florida or any number, Nevada, any number of different states that don't have any idea. They've either bought a lead or they get that information transferred to them as soon as they have an 800 number. It gets triggered to a certain company. Still, the percentage of people, it's less than really 12 to 13% of people will work a transaction with lending in that manner. In other words, about 10 to 12% of people getting financing are using that resource. In other words, picking up the phone, going online, getting financing with someone they don't know, they can't see, they can't have a relationship with. And that's grown about 5 to 6% over the last couple of years. So it's taking it's continuing to make some progress forward, but it's not really taking leaps and bounds, and I'll explain the reason why that isn't. For the most part, the reason why I believe that we haven't seen a huge surge in more people doing business online with mortgage financing is because there's still a lot of unknowns, and you still have to collect a lot of personal data to make decisions. People are still very uncomfortable with their Social Security number, their bank accounts, their credit card accounts, all these different accounts. When you pull your credit, you have access to a lot of this information. People are very skeptical still of giving someone their Social Security number, their date of birth, and a lot of these other things with all the identity theft going on. They're afraid to give people this information that they don't know or they weren't referred to. There's a big deal there. Plus, the other part of this on the financing side, you have, I'll be real honest, you'll have Rocket Mortgage, and what's the other one? There's Rocket Mortgages, and there's another one. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but their idea is that they could get you approved within a couple minutes or 5 minutes or something else. Let me just set the record straight with this Rocket Mortgage and Accelerated Mortgage and all these different things. You're not going to get a true approval unless the loan amount is under typically $417,000, maybe $625,000. Here's the reason why. If you're getting a $250,000 loan and it's very straightforward, it's simple, and they do what's called desktop underwriting. We have the capability, everybody in the industry has the capability of gathering someone's Social Security number, their date of birth, their address, very few items, and to be able to run a decision, what's called a desktop underwriting decision. All of us have that capability. We could do that now. You could call me on the phone. I could spend 3 minutes on the phone and have you approved. And so let me just explain how this happens where it's false advertising and false marketing. When Rocket Mortgage and the rest of these guys make these claims that they can get a mortgage done quicker, it's misleading. What they're telling you is they could get you paper approved in 5 to 10 minutes. Anyone could do that in this business. Anyone could do that in this business. Here's the hard part. You get an approval that says, congratulations, you've been approved for $400,000, for example. But guess what? You're approved based on information that you're inputting in data and you're inputting into a computer and a system. No one has seen your tax returns. No one has seen your W-2s. No one has seen your pay stubs. No one has seen your bank statements. So please don't let these people mislead you with this false advertising and that the loan could get done quicker. Here's what happens. You could get pre-approved quicker. But ladies and gentlemen, let me explain something to you. Getting a pre-approval is about 2 to 3% of the financing. You have another 97 to 98% of work to do in the reality of getting financing. The pre-approval is the easy part. What becomes difficult is if you're self-employed and a physical person, that's right, a human being, actually has to look at your tax returns. They have to assess them, look at your write-offs, how much you claim, how much your income is, look at your bank statements, how much money you have, how much savings do you have enough reserves for this purchase. I wish it were easier, and I wish there were algorithms. I wish there was, and there could be someday where there's an actual robot or technology or artificial intelligence, and there will be someday, where they could scan and read data without knowing whether it's fraudulent or not and make decisions. It can't be done. I shouldn't say that. It can be done, but it's not foolproof. And there's no way that a lender is going to take the chance that they let a robot or a machine scan documents and make decisions when that loan may not be good to sell, and they could be on the hook for that. This is why the financing side is so difficult, and it's going to take a while for this to evolve. So just to summarize, on the mortgage side, we have kind of 3 stages in financing. Most of the United States doesn't experience some of these challenges because the loan amounts are so small. If you have a loan amount at $417,000 or less, that's called a standard conforming loan. What that means is it's backed. Those are sellable loans by Fannie, Freddie. They're government backed. They're easy to sell. They're easy to do the transaction. The guidelines, everything's pretty simple. Then we have in our area, in high cost areas, which you call anything over $417,000 to $625,000. Actually, it's a little bit more now. Just went up. Is called high balance conforming. Anything over $625,000 or so is called jumbo. It's when you get into the jumbo that really causes the challenges, is because those loans are tricky. There's not an appetite for them in the secondary market. So lenders are very, very cautious and conservative when it comes to underwriting the jumbo loans. If you are financing anything over $625,000 roughly, that is called the jumbo loan. And I don't care what anybody tells you, don't believe them when someone online or on a radio or on anywhere tells you we're going to do a rocket mortgage or whatever they call it. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. You might have a pre-approval in writing. You might have something that says something on a piece of paper, but no one is going to finance a home until they look at your legitimate documentation. That is the reality. That's the reality. That's why it's so important to get with someone you trust, and that's why the statistics still bear out, as they do in lending, as they do with real estate, that a lot of people will go online, do their research, get some ideas, get themselves educated, which is great. I'm a big fan of that. But ultimately, the statistics and the data show that when doing a real estate and a mortgage financing transaction, you still have upwards of 86 to 87% of people still want to work with someone that they trust and that's a professional, they can look them in the eyes and build a relationship with. It's just the way it is. That's the way it is now. There's a lot more to cover on this. I didn't even get a quarter way through it. So over the next several weeks, I'll be doing a continued kind of series on the future of real estate transactions as it relates to buying and selling property and financing your mortgage as well. Until then, if you have any information or feedback, you could always go to reradiolive.com. If you can, too, give us a review. We'd appreciate that. Until next time, take care.
You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com. Subscribe to our podcast. Discover more at reradiolive.com.